Hi, this is Gia Marone, President of Women Grow, and welcome to our Women in Cannabis Holiday Showcase. We're so excited to have you support and learn about all of these women-owned and women-led businesses. We want to remind you to shop small, shop women-owned, and shop diverse. We want you to keep that same energy this holiday season and beyond. We're so excited to have you meet many of these women owners, not only from my city, New York, but from across the country. Thank you so much for supporting. We ask you to keep supporting, keep showing these women love. And as Women Grow, our mission is to connect, educate, empower, and inspire that next generation of cannabis leaders. So continue to stay tuned to all of our holiday showcases. Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. This is Tanya from Women Grow, along with my dear friend, Kassia Graham from the famous Cannaclusive. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Kassia, how are you?
I am super. As you know, I'm in Hawaii, but I'm on the rainy side of the Big Island. So it is currently raining. But as soon as it dries up, I will get my butt to a beach or somewhere that is warm and sunny. Although, like, honestly, stepping outside where I am right now, it's just absolutely beautiful. And Tanya, there are breadfruit trees.
Really?
Yes.
We are Jamaican in kind, so breadfruit is a thing. I love that. That's so fantastic. So what we're doing today is we are doing these holiday showcases for the whole season. And a lot of the times we did these partnerships with some of these brands that are women focused, people of color focused, diversity focused, like Tokativity. We did one with Latinas in Cannabis. So of course we had to include Cannaclusive. So reached out to Kassia and asked her, like, give me some brands that you know and love, and let's showcase them. Let's get more people out there shopping small, shopping women-led. And tell us how you selected the brands that you picked.
It was actually really difficult. There are a lot of brands that I absolutely love. And I wish I added more, to be honest, right now. But, 2020 hindsight, I was focusing on brands that are not just good brands, but also building great community.
Yes.
And a diverse range of brands, because I want to make sure that we're spotlighting all the people in cannabis who are just making this a better industry to be in. So let's see, looking at Hivi, Eunice, curating great community. She just did an event with Gena, and Gena wasn't even there, but it was definitely like felt. And she's been just building this wonderful community of women who are in cannabis, and not just passively being in cannabis, but getting out there, meeting each other, supporting each other's businesses, supporting each other in person, online, every and any which way, sharing advice. Uplifting each other. Obviously, Roz has been really integral in Minorities for Medical Marijuana and building that, and now building her own business.
Love it.
Etain, woman-owned, woman-run, a family business in New York. Got to represent for New York. Having Jess Hare, who has, since she's hopped on board, has just like driven so much for the brand and is really getting them out there. Gena, who has a really great story about how she came about with 024, her particular brand. And oh my gosh, the candles. I have all three of them. Amazing. Please get some. They're premium candles, so they will cost a little bit more than the candles that you get at, like a big box store, but
Right,
absolutely
right.
worth it. And she'll obviously tell you more about that. And then Sara Budwell, creating this like premium one hitter that I have several of, and absolutely love, because it's not really a one hitter; it's more like a 3 to 5 hitter. Yeah. So it was tough, and there's some other people that I invited who weren't able to
Yes,
attend
because there
because
were
it's the
folks that couldn't
holidays.
make it, right, because of the
Mhm.
holidays. We had a
Yes.
nice list, and listen, there's so many more. We intend to spotlight them all beyond the holiday season, because shopping small and shopping diverse and shopping women-led is something that's really important to us. So we want to keep that not just in the holiday season, but going forward as well. What I love about today's panel, like besides Jess, who's from New York, and the advocacy work from Roz, I don't know any of the other founders. So it was really fantastic. I'm like, there's so many women that I haven't met yet. And I've been here a minute. So it's really fantastic that there are more and more women coming on the scene and really making a mark. Like we did something with another brand, Tokativity, and they're in like the Northwest of the country. I was like blown away how many women I didn't know. And I mean, like, how can I know everybody? But I think in my mind I should. I'm like, I should know everyone. But that's what my job is, to get to know these brands. So thank you. But I wanted to talk about you and your work with Cannaclusive. I cannot not mention the fantastic work you do and Cannaclusive does. So please give us a little talk about you.
Okay, so obviously my name is Kassia Graham. Pronouns are she, her, they, them. I have been with with Cannaclusive for I think maybe 3, 4-ish years. And that's because like I was kind of like on the outskirts, and now then it became official. Anyway, I'm the director of community and strategy at Cannaclusive. So all of that social media, the events that we have and the follow-up afterwards, those are things that I help to curate, just to really foster like a very strong community for people of color, all people of color. So whether you are queer, disabled, male, female, non-binary, neither of those, everyone who is a person of color, we want to include within our sphere. So we highlight not just diverse brands, but also people who are in the space, whether they are on the plant touching side, ancillary side, if they're an influencer, business person. Um, we just want to touch as many bases as possible, but we also try to keep people informed with regards to legalization, whether it's for medical or adult use. We don't say recreational because all cannabis is medicine. It's just that, the United States government has a very different view of
Facts.
how this particular medicine can aid people, and puts lots of restrictions on it, in an effort to, subjugate people of color, especially Black, Latina, and Indigenous individuals, well, communities as a whole. And then in addition to Cannaclusive, we have an offshoot called Cannabis for Black Lives. So I lead the day to day with that. And what we do is we bring cannabis companies of all sizes, whether it's an MSO, just a company run by one or even two people, bring them all together so that we can support a cannabis equity organization for 2-month cycles. Currently, we are working with National Expungement Works, which everyone may know via National Expungement Week.
Right.
But they are an organization that's more than cannabis. So you can head to Cannabis for Black Lives on Instagram, check it out. And if you feel so inclined to learn more about Cannabis for Black Lives, donate to NEW or any of the organizations that we've supported in the past via cannabisforblacklives.com. And I know, I feel that I'm just like such a stereotype right now. And I'm also on the board of Broccoli Magazine's Floret Coalition, where we do something similar with bringing cannabis companies together. They tend to be on the smaller side and already have some sort of DEI baked in, or have like kind of a more conscious presentation, about both inward and outward with regards to who and how they support people. And we look more so at the community that's been affected by the war on drugs, the war on cannabis. And so we have supported domestic violence shelters in Navajo Nation. We have supported, there's an organization called Black Feast, which is solely focused, my ears are tiny, these things keep on popping out, solely focused on bringing Black joy to people. And so that can mean like literally giving people physical flowers, and then also like a sweet treat, things like that. And especially during the course of the uprising, the pandemic, and so on, Black folks need that space and that love and that like recognition that being alive in this space and across all time is, and Kate just reminded me of something else, is you know, it's revolutionary. It's a revolutionary act to be Black and to be alive. And then supporting farmers, basically any community that has been touched by the violence of the carceral system, especially when it comes to cannabis, we try to support via the Fluoride Coalition.
Thank you for that work.
And and two more things. I'm also I work with the Oregon Cannabis Health Equity Committee. And then the very last thing, thank you, Kate, is the Black X Film Festival, which is a film festival that I co-founded with some really wonderful queer Black folks, so that we can spotlight newer filmmakers, people who are just exploring film and so on within our community. And we founded that during the uprising because we thought that was very important that we are able to tell all facets of our stories, not just slave stories, not just, you know, adversity stories, but some really like positive, beautiful things, also some experimental stuff. And yes, and scene.
Listen, that is what a serial entrepreneur is. That is what we do. I am sure if we ask the women here as well, they do multiple things. I mean, but what I love about the overall similarities is really spotlighting people who need a spotlight, you know, and keeping people aware and being fair. I love it. I love what you do. I love what Cannaclusive does, but I know that you do other things that touch these communities, and I think that that's just fantastic. And keeping in kind, we're here to spotlight other brands, you know, just keeping in alignment with just what you do. So I want to get started with our spotlight. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to have each of our entrepreneurs, founders are going to come up one at a time, tell you about their businesses, their brands, what they do. And then we're going to circle back for a panel conversation where you'll get to know each of them a little bit more in detail. So let us get started. Let me see. I got to figure out my own order because I'm talking to you. So, all right, let us get started with meeting our entrepreneurs.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you so much to Tanya and Kassia for having me today. It is such a pleasure to meet all of you. I'm Eunice Kim, based out here in Los Angeles, and I am the founder of Hivi, short for High Vibrations. We all want to be on that frequency. It's a community-anchored conscious cannabis platform for wellness-seeking consumers. We offer personalized product recommendations based on your unique needs nationwide, and we also offer THC delivery in California. We just launched that with our pop-up last week, which Kassia mentioned. So really, really grateful and just so full of gratitude for a successful pop-up event. And now we're taking off in 2022, full steam ahead with all of the features that we've been working so hard on. And, you know, we're a virtual destination right now, and you can find us at www.hivi.life or on IG at hivi.life. And I started Hivi for us, for women, for people of color, for the underrepresented who are looking for cannabis solutions for their well-being outside of just getting high, which is a lot of fun too. but it all has to do with conscious consumption, right? Coming from a place of education and understanding what you're consuming and how that's actually impacting our communities and our planet. I am a proud mid-30s millennial, and I didn't smoke my first joint until I was 30 years old, and I didn't have a clue about this industry or this plant for myself. And the onboarding journey was daunting. You know, there was a lot of bad highs. There was a lot of not knowing what strain was what, and, you know, not knowing how to dose myself. And, you know, I decided that after learning how pivotal it was for my well-being, I was consuming it for my anxiety and for sleep, two very different use goals. I decided that cannabis needed more of a voice out there to be represented in the right way so people can understand how beneficial this plant can be. Started the platform really as an education first community, brought on Dr. June Chin, who I don't know if she joined us today, but she is an amazing woman in this space as well, Asian American integrative medical cannabis physician. And we went ahead and started putting out education that actually resonated with our communities, and saw that it was working. People were coming to us asking questions. And since then, which was January 2020, we've just expanding with features and options that actually resonate and answer the questions of our community. So we're out here. If you ever have any questions about how to consume consciously for your wellness and for your health, please reach out to me and our team. And we look forward to supporting you and your wellness goals into the new year.
Hey everybody, it's so nice to be here today. We like to call our friends buddies because that's the name of our flagship product. My name is Sara Hussain. I am a first generation Bengali American, Bangladeshi American. My parents immigrated here from Bangladesh, and in no world was I supposed to wind up as the owner of a smokewear company, but here I am. My journey began in 2016. I created an unbreakable pipe, seen here, called Buddy. And long story short, I created this unbreakable pipe to heal my broken heart after my best friend and the drummer in my band died. And I started my journey as a lawyer by day, a rock and roller by night in Washington, D.C. And I had wound up in the branding world. I had all this experience, and rock and roll and smoking go hand in hand. After Brad died, I had all this energy that needed to go somewhere. And in between what practices and things, we could always get our hands on something to smoke, but finding something to smoke it out of was a challenge. And what I do in my line of work is I solve problems. So I decided, what the heck, I'll start a series of escalating dares with myself to see if in today's vaping world, if other people are having this problem. And it turns out they were. We launched the product in 2019, and we sold out last year. We relaunched under the name Budwell, an expanded line of smokewear accessories. My vision is to bring more domestic manufactured products to America. This winter, we launched Buddy Gold. This tip is made out of brass. And our desire is to continue creating smokewear in the stoner glam tradition. A lot of people, there's a whole generation of people that are consuming in a vaping way. And I think that's awesome. You know, I think it's great that people have a variety of ways to consume which suits them. But I also know that records are still being sold on shelves for insane amounts of money. So what we're really dialing into is this unisex, glamorous appeal for both men, women. It's really a gender, glamour is fucking, sorry, pardon my language. It's gender fluid. So that's really what we're here to do, is bring a little bit of that stoner glam into everybody's life. So yeah, if you like rock and roll, if you like a little bit edgy and want to feel cool for like 5 minutes at a time, that's what we're here for. So hit up budwell.shop. Thank you so much for having us. Look forward to talking about our journey and how we are scaling up for 2022.
everyone. I'm Jess from Etain. I will say I am Cannapreneur adjacent. I'm here on behalf of our amazing owners of Etain, Hillary, Amy, and Keely. For those of you that might not know, Etain is the only women-owned, family-owned medical marijuana company in New York State, founded by Amy and her two daughters. They were one of the first licenses that was granted as part of the Compassionate Care Act in 2015. And they've been crushing it ever since, we'll say. So I've been really lucky to have the opportunity to work with them and head up their marketing. And, our whole goal really is to provide concierge medicine to the patients in the program in New York. We've also been granted our license in New Jersey, so we'll be bringing our products there in the next year or so. And we really pride ourselves on the quality of our product, but also being the only small, privately held and women-owned company in the space in New York, lifting up other women in the community, be that with all the brands that we've just brought into the dispensary in New York and beyond, that are all women-owned, from not only from New York, but around the country. So some of you might have seen the other day, we spoke to some of the brands that we have, but today I have a couple other ones. So we're really excited to be able to give shelf space to these women-owned brands in New York City, as well as our locations in Syracuse, Kingston, and Yonkers too. So one of the brands that we're really excited about is from Portland, called Groon, which means green, and they make amazing chocolates and gummies, and really looking for these things to help our patients, to help with their care, that's going to help with the Etain products that they're purchasing as well. And another thing that we really tried to do for the program is make sure that we have the most dosing methods for our patients. The medical marijuana program, especially in New York, is very diverse in everything from, especially from the age of our patients. So we want to make sure that we kind of have something for everyone, no matter what their ailment is, so that we can really assist them in their care. So one of our signature products that we have is we have our Motif magnetic vape pen. And this was a game changer for me. I have chronic pain in my knee, and it has changed me being able to get up from this seat. And it has these amazing little pods here that we put right in there. We have a lot of accessories that we just launched, including this awesome keychain here. We did a case with Little John, who's out of Brooklyn, who's really just kind of, again, helping us make these custom accessories for our patients. We just came out with a charcoal version of the pen here, and we have all the pods here as well. So just really trying to give our patients all of those varied methods. And, again, for us as a brand, we're 70% women, and really trying to lift up everyone in the community. We've been so lucky to have the support of Women Grow and Tanya and Gia and all the brands that we've been carrying. And we're so thrilled to be a part of this and all the different events that are happening in the community, that we can really be, the voice of women in the medical community that have their cards, and anything that we can really be doing just to push that forward in New York. And we want to thank everybody again for their support, again, on behalf of Hillary and everyone. And we're really encouraging everyone to shop small this holiday season. But like Tanya said, not just this holiday season, throughout the year. And we thank everyone for their support. And I'm going to kick it over to Ross now.
Hi, Roz McCarthy here. You guys may know me from being the founder and the CEO of Minorities for Medical Marijuana. I've had the pleasure of starting that organization in 2016 and doing so much awesome advocacy work over the last almost 6 years. And I'm excited to be here with you because I've transitioned now, where I have my own brand, and it's Black Buddha Cannabis. Let me tell you a little bit about this brand and why it's so important. This summer, I was in a car collision. I got hit pretty hard. Pain. The brunt of the collision was my shoulder, my neck, and I ended up suffering a concussion, whiplash, and I was diagnosed with a mild traumatic brain injury. People that know me know that when I started M4MM, I wasn't a consumer. I started this because my mom passed away from breast cancer, and my son at the time, or my son has sickle cell anemia, and I wanted to create a safe space for him to be able to have access to the medicine. But after my accident, I was literally off my butt. I couldn't walk. I was disoriented. I passed out about 3 to 4 times. I had to have a caregiver come live with me. Shout out to Nicole Bafong. She was my caregiver. She brought me back to life. And what most importantly is cannabis brought me back to life. Literally, she had CBD around the clock inside of my body. I was taking tincture, and I also was vaping dry flower. I was seeing my therapist, and my therapist talked to me about how to center myself, how to talk to my brain in order to talk down that pressure from the concussion, how to create mantras about healing, being strong. And you guys, cannabis saved my life. And whenever you go through something, sometimes you don't know what's going to be on the other side. You don't know what's going to happen. You're just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what's going on right now, and I don't know if I can get through it. And that's how I felt. And the other side was this beautiful, beautiful idea of creating a brand about being better, being well, feeling good. And this plant is a healing plant. And I created Black Buddha Cannabis because it was the combination of these practices from the Buddhism religion along with cannabis that brought me back to life. And I'm so excited to be with you guys today because we are literally right now talking to operators. We just signed 3 LOIs. So I'm coming to Ohio, I'm coming to Nevada, and I'm coming to California. We have 2 more that we're teeing up, but literally these products are going to be fantastic. And based upon whatever state, because some states you can have certain products and some states you can't, but it's all about an experience. So imagine this, when you walk in a dispensary, I don't know about you, but me, I'm overwhelmed. Like when I walk in, I'm like, good crap. Like, what do I pick? Where do I go? And we created experiences. So our first product is a one-hitter quitter. Can you see it? All right. So look, this is your flower. It's 0.35 grams of flower in here. And this is where you pull. You take off the cap. You light it. You pull. You might pull again and you go, I'm good. You put this on. So for the individuals who are like, I don't know how to roll, I just want something quick and fast, I'm on the go, I'm out camping, it's a one-hitter quitter. It's awesome. And so literally, this is going to be our first product that we come out the gate because we believe, and what we ended up doing was we created these experiences. So look, the red one is creativity. The blue one, I'm going to go this way. The red one is creativity. The blue one is, enlightenment. The purple one is for wellness and pain relief. And the green one is Zen for relaxation. So instead of you walking in and trying to figure out, do I get Bubba Kush? Do I get OG Kush? Do I get Skittles? Do I just walk in and tell them, I want Black Buddha and this is how I'm feeling today. Or tomorrow I am going to be in a creative zone and I need something that's going to really support my creativity. I want you guys to know that this is going to be something so easy. Listen, Nia, that's it. It's easy, it's convenient, it's simple, it's discreet. And so I'm excited about it. So our first states for California and Nevada will come out with this one. So again, I want you to shop small this holiday, but I want you to shop Black Buddha 365 days of the year. Because I promise you quality, I promise you my commitment to making sure that we are providing the best products that are out there. And not only that, we just want to make sure that our operators that we're working with state by state, these are operators who are operators of color. And so we are making that a priority. If we can go into a state and operate with a cultivator who's a cultivator of color, African-American owner or operator, that we love it because we can show the ecosystem of a Black-owned business, because I own this, right? A Black-owned business working with a Black-owned operator to put a brand on the shelf that is centric to everyone. It's not a Black brand, it's a cannabis brand. And so I love you guys. I want you guys to go out and ask for Black Buddha. I got a special gift to you guys. So listen, here's our t-shirts. See, this is our merch. If you go to Instagram and go to our DMs, I got the first 25 people say, I want a shirt and tell me what your size is. And in the next week or two, I'll get your shirt over to you. So I love you guys. I thank you guys. Thank you for your love and support over the years. Black Buddha, this is my baby, and she's special. And it's all about being well and staying well. So thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. Wow, what a follow-up to all these incredible brands. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Kassia, for having me. My name is Gena Surphlis. I am the founder and CEO of 024. We are a Black-owned and women-led fragrance brand in New York City. We create luxury home fragrances, and these products contain patented scent technology that targets and neutralizes the cannabis smell. Yep, that's what we do. And we know that there are so many stereotypes and negative connotations surrounding cannabis. And one of them, unfortunately, is how it smells. The inspiration for me after a 15+ year working in the beauty industry, specifically in fragrance development, is my son. And when Roz, you said something, my son has sickle cell anemia. He lives and he thrives with sickle cell anemia. And he decided to take a chance and wanted to find a different way to manage his painful crises that are associated with sickle cell anemia. And he wanted to use medical marijuana. And we discussed it. And what we talked about was being a person using cannabis, unfortunately, you're going to have these negative stereotypes and connotations surrounding it. And that inspired me as a fragrance exec. How could I take what I know and my expertise and change the narrative? So I founded 024, which is 420 reverse, because our vision is to reverse the negative narratives that are surrounding the smell of cannabis consumption. Currently, we sell candles. These are our lovely candles. They come in 3 beautiful fragrances: incense and pepper, cannatonic, and forbidden fruit. They are upcycled, meaning you can finish this, reuse it, use it as a stash jar, whatever you need to use it for. We also have USB lighters that are safe because I have long nails, I don't know anybody else, and I don't like lighting and burning. And so these are what we also sell as part of our product assortment. We are sold on 024, and that is spelled out alpha024.com. And we are also sold in Higher Standards in Chelsea and New York City, and in Malibu, and in Happy Buds in Brooklyn. So we are so happy to bring this brand to you to explain how it's been such an inspiration for me and for my son. And I look forward to talking more about the brand and anyone asking any questions. Thank you. Thanks, Tanya.
That was amazing. So I am so happy. And there's somebody, I'm going to ask everyone to mute. We have a little echo. So we can mute until we figure out where it's coming from. I am so excited to talk to all of you because, like I said, I usually think I know everybody, and I don't know. So as I'm talking, I didn't know Gena was in New York. So excited about that. Eunice, I love everything you said about building community around your brand, because that is the essence of building your community. Is how you build your brand is by building a community around it. As a former punk rocker, I have to side with Sara when she said stoner glam. I tried not to fall out of my chair because I was like, but that is my life. Like, that is my life. So, Kassia, do you want to lead the conversation so we can get to know these women a little better? Please pop on, and you want to start with the questions, or should I?
I think that they already did a great job of answering some of the questions I would have asked. For instance, the inspiration for their brands. Unlike, MSOs and such, smaller businesses tend to have very much of a purpose for being in the space. So Etain being a family-run brand, Roz, Gena, either dealing with medical issues or having medical issues. I did write in the chat when I hopped on Facebook for a minute, was that while I was sick, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, that cannabis helped me get through. So it was a combination of both alleviating my nausea, which I had a lot of while I was in treatment, while being in remission, still in remission. Whenever I say while being in remission, people get like, wait. And then also pain management, because, and this is not to say like knocking like pharmaceuticals, because they have been very helpful, but when it comes to, you know, the timing of when you can have certain medications, it's like every 6 hours you can have something, but you're still experiencing pain. You can have, you know, whether it's a THC only or THC CBD mix, and to help alleviate some of that pain. And then just going through the pandemic, like edibles have saved my lives and other people's lives, because it has been very, very difficult in lots of different ways. And you just like sometimes need to mellow out for the greater good of society. So most of us have like discussed like what the purpose is.
Yes.
What do you want to do moving forward? Because I know that one thing people love to be able to see is like any kind of like sneak peeks or anything that may be coming down the line for 2022. So this can be like maybe an exclusive if anyone has any of those things popping up.
Eunice, do you have something that you want to share that you've got going on for next year?
Yeah, sure. Happy to share for this community. Lots going on our end. You know, my tech co-founder and I have been working really hard on a personalized recommendations concierge service. We're in private beta of it now. A couple thousand people have tested it and have given us amazing feedback. You can actually sign up for to be a part of the private beta via our website. But essentially what it does is if you answer, you know, about a dozen to 2 dozen pretty specific questions about your unique needs and goals, your background, your experience level, your preferences, age, weight, gender, all of that, we will actually match you with the right product formulations. So no more guesswork around, you know, what strain is right for me, how much should I be dosing what. We will provide that cannabis regimen for you, and also direct you to the retailers that carry those products in store. In California, obviously offering delivery directly ourselves. And our curation of products is very much focused on women-owned, BIPOC-owned, or queer-owned businesses that are doing the right thing in this space, formulating with care, providing transparent operations, all of that. And we do all of that vetting and verifying of the founder stories, the operations, the COAs, all so that our consumers and our shoppers don't have to go through all that work. So excited for that. Encourage everyone to give it a shot through our private beta, and we should be live with it in early 2022.
I love that you mentioned Dr. June. I love her. We do some work with her here in New York. We've done some events at Cafe Canal down on the Lower East Side. So she is a friend to Women Grow. We love her, and everything she touches is just magical. So I'm excited for that to come around. Sara, you have anything that is any new lines coming out in the new year that you want to share?
Yes. So here's the big thing that we learned about last. I mean, there's a lot that we could get into, right? I'm just so excited to talk to like all these ladies here. But when we started, I mean, I do like to say that it was a series of escalating dares to get the pipe made, because I didn't have grand dreams of being in the cannabis industry. I have been smoking weed for a long ass fucking time. I never imagined that I would be in the industry in any way. Like I said, the pipe was a means to an end. So I didn't go crazy, and so my grief would not swallow me. I had to take that energy and put it somewhere and make something good out of something that was otherwise just horrible. So that's how I like got into it. And I just figured all this stuff out that I didn't know. The things I knew, I knew. The things I didn't know, I didn't know. And I didn't know if Buddy was going to be a success or not. And turns out it was. Hooray! And with New York legalization, you know, like I was saying about people consuming differently, and as we've seen like in LA versus New York or different places, the culture around consumption, very different. You know, people consume differently, also different places consume differently. What we've seen in certain places where like legalization happens and you see the culture shift around it. I'm interested to see what's going to happen in New York, because New York is New York. I think that I think that you're going to see what happens there is the culture in New York is what it is. And I think that you're going to see things shift around how New York's going to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So the success of Buddy, the launch of Budwell, happening at the same time as the big word of this last year, supply chain issues, really highlighted the fact that for a business of our size to scale up in light of international supply chain, blah, 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 has really highlighted, do I want to, as we move the business forward, to continue to manufacture overseas, or do I begin the daunting task of manufacturing domestically? Making Buddy Gold was my first attempt at domestic manufacturing, and I was very proud of that. And our next line, which I'm 99% sure is going to be called Buddy Nude. Don't bet on it, but I'm pretty sure. But basically what we're approaching, the idea was always for men or women, if you look, those glass pipes, like the swirly ones that we all grew up with in college, or maybe we didn't, some of us did. I'm dating myself. But they're not matching anybody's outfits. They're not making anybody look cute. And I noticed as the proliferation of like smoking devices came on the scene, I mean, I love some of these ceramic works. They're great. But I also find that they can be tilted maybe towards certain genders and not others. And by that, I mean, like, I don't see men carrying, not all men, carrying around maybe like a cute pink thing. So I'm like, how do I take this and make it so it can match anybody's outfit, and also is going to, I can throw this thing across the room and nothing's going to happen to it. I would do it right now, but I mean, then I'd have to get up and go get it. It'd be a whole thing. So making the tips colored, that's what's up next for us. And I do want to make those here. Getting the entire device made here, that's step 2. So that's what's going on with us.
Fantastic. I love it. P.S. You just ooze rock and roll, and that makes me very happy. Thank you so much for that.
Still got it.
And you're not aging yourself, because I'm sure I got a few years on you, and I know all that. And in fact, till this day, I am probably dating myself more than others. I still carry a dugout.
Oh, you know what people ask all the time when they're like, Sarah, I love this. Sorry, I'm going to drop an F-bomb again. What the fuck do I put it in? And I am trying, because part of what I see next for Budwell, I really want to create more of our own products rather than just white labeling other things. And part of the problem with finding something to put this in is that because girls, inches matter, I had to put like an extra inch or 2 on this thing, because I'm not trying to burn my bangs, first of all. The bangs, the whole thing, I want to do like, whatever. Give me a Cruella de Vil moment. But this does need something to go in, and that's also what we're working on for next year. Side note, talking about scale, I don't know if we're going to hit it in this conversation, but investing, getting investors and all that, I feel like I have reached that stage, and this is how I feel about it.
Right. I get it. But you're there. And then honestly, these conversations that we have allow more people to see brands. And this is the time.
Yeah.
And we need to change that needle where women don't get as much funding as men, and women of color get less funding than other women. Like, we need to and the more that people see that these brands are here and they are scalable, we'll get more money into those brands. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Even these introductory sort of like playbook, if you will. My pal Jess Gonzalez turned me on to something the other day, a handbook that I think she was involved in creating just for, I want to say there's a focus on like for social equity companies in particular, but like just some kind of baseline level of knowledge, because otherwise the rooms that these conversations are happening in, I mean, to even get access to that, like this was our first year going to Hall of Flowers. That shit ain't cheap. You know what I mean? Like going and getting yourself access to these places when you're a small business and you're trying to scale up and you're trying to do all the things yourself, like access costs money, knowledge costs money. I mean, all of this stuff costs, like there's resources involved. Every day you make these decisions and people just see the glamorous side of entrepreneurship. No, it's not all glamour.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm fine with how old I am. I've earned every gray. And you
I
look great.
cannot wait to meet you in person so that we can hang. Okay. One of my teammates put it in there. Can't wait to meet you in real life. What state are you out of? Are you in New York?
No, we keep it on the down low. We say we are an East Coast brand because 65% of our sales actually do go to New York, but we are based in Ohio, in Cincinnati.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share of what's on the rise? What's in the new year for you?
Yeah, sure. I will.
Okay.
We are working on additional formats actually for our Q2. So as much as everyone loves candles, and we know that candles are for all touch points, right? From cooking to our rituals to yoga. We also know that we like to travel when we can't travel with candles. So we're working on room sprays that also will have the technology. And we'll also be working on vent fresheners. So these vent fresheners will click into your car vent because you smoke in your car and you know you do. Or in multi-dwelling units, because we live here in New York, you can also clip up. And so we'll have the technology into the actual piece that clips into the vent. So we're very excited about that, working on those. And we will also be partnering with some brands, I think some of us know, in terms of doing some collaboration on their own fragrance for their brand. So we're very excited.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's exciting. Well, I will tell you, as a person who just bought a co-op in New York, it was one of my I come from a house where I could do what I want. Mm-hmm. So now living in a co-op where you have like boards and stuff, A, terrifying, but B, I'm like hypersensitive to, so I'd love a little, 024 plug thing that I could keep in my, I love that. That is so important, especially in New York, because we're burning up in here.
We are burning. And that's back to that conversation though, right? Like, why is that something that is negative? Why can't we normalize that the smell is the smell, and why is it something negative? Because the rules are saying that you cannot consume, or if someone smells it, is that it's something negative. And that's really back to that initiation of this dialogue surrounding it, because it's very judgmental. We are using the plant for our wellness. Yes. My son, for his wellness. We've talked on here, it's for our wellness. And so it's not something that should be stigmatized in that way. So how can we talk about it? But I got you, Tanya.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I just want to say, Gena, that, the candles technically don't travel, but over the past weekend, my partner and I did a hotel staycation, and she went with me, and we were so happy she did. So I'll travel with her.
I love that it can be a stash jar later, right? Didn't you say that?
I have my cotton balls in mine. I have another one with pens. I use one as a flower vase. We use vegan wax. All of our ingredients are safety tested. Our vessel is ASTM certified. We do not play around with our glass. We want to ensure it does not explode on you. And when you finish, you can turn this upside down in the freezer, take it out, take your wax out, wipe it out, and you can reuse this. So we are all about upcycling, not being sustainable. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and speaking of that, I think a lot of people are convinced that a smaller business means that the quality will be less. No, especially in cannabis, it's really important that you, follow all the guidelines that have been provided for you, especially for anyone who's on the plant touching side, because as Roz probably knows, is like, when you're working with folks, they probably come to you saying, oh, I had to throw all of this stuff out, or, someone came in and I wasn't compliant, I couldn't use it anymore. Like, what can I do? And you're like, you got to follow the rules. But in terms of people like food safety, product safety, and so on, you're still going to get that quality from those businesses that are really dedicated to it. And if you find a brand that you like and they create quality goods, definitely, obviously, shop more from them. But what you can even do that's sometimes better is passing that information about that brand along to someone else, and and let's say there's a brand that you really like and you can't shop them, save it for later. Saving their social media stories helps. Saving their posts helps. Joining their mailing list, especially the mailing list, because being in cannabis, we know, and Cannaclusive has been through it, you can get shut down for what appears to be no reason. It's very arbitrary, especially if you're not, a celebrity brand or like a large MSO. And sometimes they'll even go after MSOs. But making sure that that word of mouth, it's so important for smaller businesses. And then if there is a business that you're so into, and let's say you may even be considering investing, reach out and just ask if they're open to investors. They may not be, but that's a really great way to also get your foot in the door when it comes to cannabis. If you don't have the millions for a dispensary or for another plant touching business, or just don't have that know-how, but you still have that like love and that respect for the plant.
I love it. Thank you so much. And share, if you love a product or a business or a brand, share it in your stories. Tell somebody, put it in your Facebook post, or tell other people, because sometimes people don't know brands. I mean, we are really lucky because we know of cannabis brands, we know of women-led brands, diverse-led. So we have these relationships, but outside of our cannabis community, some people just don't know. So it is important to tell people about these other brands, these up and coming brands. Roz, what is on the horizon for Black Buddha Cannabis? What is 2022 going to look like for you? I think you might be muted.
So again, we some of the ladies that are on here are more seasoned. They may have been in the marketplace. They have sales, and we are tackling this like one big bite at a time. And one of the things that I really am going to prioritize is making sure that my advocacy doesn't go away, that I'm still going to be that advocate for other brands and being able to pay it forward. The learning lessons that I'll be able to. I'm afforded opportunities that a lot of people are not afforded because of the work I've done. And it's important for me to be able to take that, synthesize it, and figure out how to shorten the learning curve for other different folks that look like me, who are like, how do I figure it out? So that's a priority for me. I'm excited about some brand collaboration. I can't tell you right now, but I got some fire. And let me tell you something. I'm holding these companies who are talking about, oh, we're social equity and we're social equity driven. I'm holding you accountable. Oh, we want to put you on the shelf. I'm holding you accountable. Oh, we already do this. I'm holding you accountable. If it's not me, be it another person's brand of color, of someone that doesn't have those opportunities. So I'm holding folks accountable, and some of the brand collaborations that I'm pitching and putting together are going to make exciting. And then the last thing is, and I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, we're coming out with a Black Buddha Cannabis cryptocurrency. We're going to have a coin, and we're not playing around with it. That coin is going to have the opportunity of not only being able to, because we believe the genesis of the next from a payment source or processor or opportunity, if we don't see safe banking, if we don't see something from the financial, it's being able on that crypto side. And how beautiful would it be to be able to have this, a Black Buddha Cannabis coin that not only allows you to pay for your product, but the give back would also be to support M4MM's expungement program called Project Clean Slate. So lots of good things, lots of excitement. And if anybody knows me, I fire fast. So we're going to make it happen, but I'm also going to make sure that I bring other people along with me, because I will never, ever steer away from why I got into this industry in the first place. And Gena, may I just say that we have to connect offline, because I know your son, my son, we're sickle cell moms. There is girl, there is a tribe like no other. And the same reason why you're in this industry is the same reason why I am, because my child needed me to be the voice and speak up and say, stop the stigma, stop the BS, stop saying that Black men are lazy if they consume. Give him the opportunity to feel better. So that's it, guys.
When you said that, Roz, I got chills when you said, I didn't know that you had a son with sickle. So for me, we definitely have to connect. I'm so appreciative of that.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. I'm excited. Thank you so much. And you mentioned collaboration, Roz, and then I want to circle in with Jess to talk a little bit about what Etain has on the horizon for 2022. Well, I know as far as we had a show that spotlighted on you the other day where all the brands that you highlight. So please tell us what Etain has up for 2022.
We are really excited to be doing more with all of these great women-owned brands and diverse brands. And again, really taking that shelf space that we have, not only in the New York City store, but in our other locations, and finding local brands and giving them the shelf space. And also when we can do events again, every finger crossed, really getting people in a room together. I found, I came from a fashion background and was really welcomed into this women in cannabis community, thanks to all of you, thanks to Kassia, Kate, Tanya, Gia. And I think all getting in that room together is just really powerful. And we're really lucky to have a great dispensary space that has some event space on our second floor. And we just want to be able to give people a space to all come together. So that is something we've been talking about since we opened, and really looking forward to doing that next year. We see that as just, a unique something that we can offer to the community, to have that space to be able to come and gather. I know that's like a bad word right now, but someday we will gather again, and we will be the place that we can do that. And again, I think it's just about our connections with these brands and bringing in different things for not only our patients to discover, but anyone can come into the stores and buy the CBD products or buy the other branded products that aren't THC, and just giving people that opportunity to be sold at our dispensaries, no matter what the size of the brand. We feel we're really, lucky that we are one of those people with the licenses in New York and soon to be New Jersey. And we want to use that as an opportunity to build other brands up too that might not have that opportunity.
Thank you so much. And I love that. And stay tuned, because Women Grow and Etain have some stuff in the works for some women-led brands to do what we do.
Yep.
Kassia, you have anything else you want to ask our panelists? Because, my thing is, what do we do for the next generation? What words of encouragement? But before I do that, is there anything you want to say?
I think kind of along the same lines. But before that, I did see that there was a question that was asked by Sonia Rodriguez, which is, where do you get your education from besides college? I know that for me personally, I've had a lifelong history with cannabis. My granduncle, as we're Jamaicans, my granduncle's a Rastafarian. And family lore has it that at the age of 2, cannabis basically helped save my life. So I've always had this reverence for the plant. Obviously, through my experience, and also my mom, although she does not consume. Actually, I think the first time she consumed cannabis was sometime this year. She had a can. I got, some drinks from them, and she was like, I'd like to try some. But she's always made tinctures and all these other things that she's used primarily for pain management from cannabis. So I've always had that experience, and more so things that have been passed down via family versus a more, I guess, traditional American or European type of education. But in terms of where I've learned is I soak everything up. Being that I did the social media for so long, I was always reading at minimum 10 articles per day, always having to do research, double checking just to make sure that the information that we were putting out to our audience was in fact correct and had been fact checked, or I guess our version of peer reviewed by other people. So where did everyone else get their education when it comes to cannabis? And again, when you think of education, don't just think within the normal American or European construct of education.
It was, education in regards to, for myself, there's a basic education and experience I had on the corporate side, and as a consultant and working for myself. I was just telling Tanya that I used to work for Bristol Myers Squibb for 10 years, and I was over a whole entire product line. I dealt with distributors. I knew that whole game. So it was just basically a transfer of skills. And then it was just understanding the industry. And remember, we're really not in a race. We're in a marathon. This is a 26-mile journey that we're on. And so I'm always constantly learning, and I'm always reminding myself that I have to put myself in a position of being a sponge and taking in and reading, educating myself. I have a big issue with walking into a room, negotiating or having a conversation about something and not being versed on all the different facets or the nuances of the conversation, or being prepared for a got you question that, I need to make sure that I'm on top of it. So a lot of it is just my own personal, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm squared up? But use your skill set and what you have your life experience prior to cannabis, transfer all of that stuff over to cannabis. That's the foundation right there that will get you halfway to where you need to be.
I agree with that 100%. I come from sales, so working and doing presentations and being able to, you know, sort out sponsorships and stuff like that was up my alley. It was just a great transition. And honestly, how I learned my plant stuff, if that was what the question might have been geared to, was really just being surrounded by so many great doctors, being immersed in the space with Women Grow. I had access, so I don't take that for granted. But meeting Dr. Chin is one of my first practitioners in the space. When she has programs and courses, I literally I read them, her books and stuff like that. As far as there's so many great practitioners in the space that you can learn from. And there's so much out there. There will be more because we haven't even scratched the scratch when it comes to the plant itself. But transferable skills, there will, if someone's trying to get into this industry, I always tell people, you don't have to learn how to create the wheel. You just have to push the one you have. You know, I know that Gena said she came from fragrance. She's creating a fragrance line. That's what we do. Anyone else have any feedback as far as how you got your cannabis or business education?
I would just, go ahead, Eunice.
I think as it pertains to cannabis education, I think what Tanya and everyone said about getting it from a credible source is very important. Right. I only started discovering cannabis for myself and my well-being 5 years ago. And it was so difficult. If you just do a simple Google search, you're not going to come up with the correct information. You need to go find and seek your trusted sources. And not to humble brag, but that's why I created Hivi, right? Hivi is that resource and it's that educational platform. Sonia, if you have any questions about how to dose and all of those, please reach out to us. You can email me or DM us on IG. I'm also happy to connect you with Dr. Chin. As Tanya mentioned, you know, read the books, read the literature. I have this book by Dr. Chin on my desk every day, and I still refer to it because it is a wealth of knowledge that I know I can trust. And then when it comes to the industry, you know, there's no degree in cannabis business or entrepreneurship. You kind of have to be in it to learn. And I think the most valuable education I got in terms of being an entrepreneur in this space came from my network and my community of amazing women and people in this space, like the ones I'm sharing with today, where we are never gatekeeping and we're sharing all that we know to help uplift each other. And I think it's about networking and finding your people in this space if you are interested in digging into it.
Thank you. That was amazing. Gena?
Mine is short. It's just actually being in it for me. Actually, I've gone to a farm, Vitricola Farms and Tonic CBD. I went into the Hood Incubator. I did a 17-week Excel. Just being in it, going into stores and dispensaries, talking, this is what I like, or what do you suggest? I think also trying it out and actually experiencing how it works for you helps you also to speak more to it. But I do agree with Eunice in terms of the network that has grown for me over the last, I would say I was very irresponsible consuming cannabis as a teenager, completely irresponsible. Since my son has started for his wellness, I have now had to understand from strains to dose, all of it. What do I need for my wellness and how does that work? But I definitely think for sure your network and actually trying it, going into these spaces.
Absolutely. You can't learn how to swim on YouTube. You know what I mean? You got to kind of jump in and do it. And you can do it. You don't have to be a plant touching entity. In fact, I think minus Roz is doing CBD and minus Jess, all of the businesses are Women Grow, the Kennedy included, are non-plant touching businesses, ancillary businesses. And that's exciting because you've kind of forged your way here. Anyone else want to talk about education? Sara, do you have anything you want to contribute?
I mean, I don't know, 20 years of the wrong way of learning about cannabis. I don't recommend. You know, this was.
You could teach them how to compress those time frames now.
I mean, the world that we live in now is almost unheard of compared to what things were like when I began my journey after a emerging from the cage. No, like just kidding. Emerging from the cage and seeing light for the first time. No, but for real though, when I was in law school and I saw how no one told me how much law students drink. Holy shit. Yeah, and I was raised Muslim. Also a win for my parents that I'm here doing what I do now. No, they love this. They love me. It's fine. But I discovered, I mean, I was smoking prior to that. Thank you, rock and roll. But I discovered that cannabis was, I wasn't diagnosed till many years later with anxiety, but I realized that cannabis was much more helpful at coping with the very severe pressures of law school than alcohol was. And that really is when I started to use it in a more responsible way. And if half the resources that everybody here has mentioned were available at the time, I think I would have been a much more responsible user much earlier in my life. So please take advantage of everything that everyone has said now, because from the Knox Docs to Dr. June Chin, there's so much great information out there. As far as everything else goes, my path has been as unconventional as as there is one. You don't need to go to law school to start your own business by any means. You don't need to be a brand strategist to do any of that stuff. But whatever it is you are doing, I believe it was Roz that said it, you have to be able to take those skills and be able to apply them to something new. You have to be willing to learn the stuff that you don't know, and trust professionals that know the things that you don't, and vet really well, because it's like I said, when you're starting out, if your resources are finite, you can only do the best job you can with what you have, and make the best decisions you can with what you have, right? So no, there's no cannabis PhD. I mean, maybe there is now, who the fuck knows, but you don't need it. You don't need it. What you do need is a strong internal compass, and you need people around you that you can trust, and you need to know why that you're getting into this.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, that's what's going to guide you at the end of the day.
Just out of curiosity, the topic of funding came up a couple of times. Who is seeking funding, and what type of funding are you seeking? Okay, I want to hear about it. Who's seeking funding, and what are you looking for?
I'll go last. Someone else go first.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring over.
We're just doing our seed round, and
okay. Let me switch. Roz, okay, go.
I mean, it's no secret. Funding is where you can only go so far with your putting in your own savings or what have you. And we're at a point right now. That's why for us it was a matter of showing that we can enter into a state. And that's the good thing about, we want to see federal legalization removed. However, if it's not right now, I implore folks to take advantage of the fact that you can go state by state and cut a deal and show the value that you can bring to that state, to that partner, as a partner brand, or, working with an operator. So we're at a point right now where we're like, okay, we got the LOIs, we got our we know where we need to go. My team goes, Raj, you're the Z factor. We got the X and Y factor. So now it's that time to be able to, to create that presentation that's going to grab people's attention. And I would just implore people and tell you to make sure that the team that you have around you, be it, your operations person, but your financial underwriter that can help you figure out all the things that you need to share from a financial aspect, because it is a business and you can't go off of just, Roz, and you got to love me. No, they want to know hardcore numbers. What does this mean? What's my return on investment? What are we looking like? Are we looking at debt financing, equity financing? So I'm learning all of this stuff that I never thought in a million years, but we're looking at our seed round, and also looking at our seed round where we're not either, we look at debt financing or equity, but if we're giving up equity, we're looking at 2 to 3 years from now, when we go for our second round of funding, what does that look like? So the way that you evaluate your company on the first round of that seed round really will help you in order to understand how to evaluate an evaluation of your company. So when you need to go for that bigger chunk of money, you're not giving up so much equity and ownership. So that's where I am right now.
Fantastic. Eunice, you raised your hand?
Yes, I enthusiastically raised my hand because I am currently in a fundraising round, and it is tough. It is hard out there for women, especially women of color in this space. So if anyone is going through it, I just want to let you know I fully empathize. But yeah, it's been great to be able to put Hivi out there. I'm currently raising a seed round of 1.5 million. We have the community, we have the traction, we have the monthly recurring revenue. It's about finding the like-minded people to sit on our cap table, because I don't just want anyone. I don't want a check from anyone. Yes, the check is important, but the resources, the passion, and the willingness to build with me is even more important to me. So yeah, that's where I am hoping to close it in early 2022.
Fantastic. And Gena?
Yes. So we actually began pitching for and fundraising as a pre-seed before we had even launched. Learned a lot on that journey. We then went and did a friends and family round, which we've got some good checks from that friends and family round, and now we're doing our seed round, which is $500,000 seed round. I do agree with Eunice, and I agree with Roz. You have to know your numbers. You have to understand and have your traction. You have to have your metrics. You need to know what the strategy is for your company. But what I will say that I learned joining iFund Women, I love iFund Women, what an incredible community to be a part of, is crowdfunding. And had I known crowdfunding sooner than I did, I would have done that first. Crowdfunding is amazing. People don't understand enough about crowdfunding, but it is something that you can do first before you go out to institutional investment. The challenge I had, yes, I'm a Black woman and I know my business. I know my numbers, I know it all. But what also is, I'm a fragrance brand. I'm not even a cannabis brand. I'm an ancillary brand. But once you start speaking cannabis, a lot of times there are vice clauses in their funding that they cannot even invest in you. So there's that research that needs to be done to ensure that this is even the person you can get a check from. But we are in our round, and we will begin again pitching in January and having all these meetings. But don't forget crowdfunding. I have to put that out there. And iFund Women is an incredible resource.
We've actually done an event with them, when we were able to do in-person events. They did a little boot camp for our Women Grow New York, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I love what they do. I don't want to miss Sara and Jess. Sara?
Yeah, I was going to say, after working myself to cartoonishly ridiculous levels this past year, I realized that, girl, I'm done. And it is time to seek investment. We have been offered, we've had some offers come our way, and truthfully, I don't know. I need to, one, learn more about what the heck I'm getting into. And two, like Eunice was saying, I don't want to take money from just anybody. Some of the people that have, we've had some offers to just like pluck up Buddy and put it into like a family of products, and to heck with the rest of it, to heck with your vision and the whole thing. And I was not comfortable with that. So educating myself first and foremost on the process before I go like dive head first into the whole thing, that's probably going to be a big part of 2022. And I would love to, like Eunice, I'd love to have a conversation with you about it, just because it's talking to some, I've talked to people who are, who've had experience with venture before, but they don't have that added sticky wicket of being cannabis adjacent, or even like in it. I know that you're actually plant touching or selling, right? In any case, kindred spirits are hard to come by, especially out here in the middle of a cornfield. So would love that.
Love it.
Yeah.
See, collaborations are being made everywhere.
It's happening. It's all happening.
I love it. So Jess, tell me about expansion. I know that Etain is now going to be in New Jersey, which I am so excited. Is a tri-state on the horizon? What do you see as far as like growing other brands and working with other brands, like the expansion vision?
Yeah, I mean, I think they had applied for their license in 2019 in Jersey, and then all of a sudden it's 2021, and I think they were shock, awe, and excitement all at once when that came through. So that's a license to be vertically integrated, and we're going to have a storefront. It's all going to be in North Jersey. I keep telling them they're going to be the queens of the North. They don't understand my reference. That's okay. So, I think there, because we're going to have our store, we're also obviously going to have a cultivation facility as well. especially as we get that cultivation facility up and running, finding those like-minded, women-owned, diverse partners that we can work with to bring into the store there and just really bring that same vision that we've had in New York there and kind of build that whole community there too. We're really excited to kind of bring our brand there, but also that differentiation that we have that, in New York, we still are the only privately held company, the only women-owned company. And that's what they do. And they're really proud of that, especially being in that first round of licenses. And then also, as we talked about on the live the other day, just looking at these other brands that we can bring in and give shelf space to, especially things that, we're not making gummies. We're not gummy experts. So what amazing women-owned CBD brands have these gummies that we've got to bring in and have our customers try. And even just hearing all of these brands here, I'm like, I love candles probably too much. So hearing all of these other brands too, and, the options to bring those to the forefront is just really, really exciting for us. And I think, of course, like having the partnership with you guys at Women Grow and showing, every time I'm trying to bring in something new, I'm always looking up women-owned whatever. And I'm always kind of bummed when I don't see it. And I'm like, why is no one making XYZ? We've got to get people making these things. So I think having this community to kind of say, hey, here's that void there. Let's get someone to make this. Same with us. We tried to make our own, having these accessories and working with people like Little John and things like that, having things from, Jasmine from Buy Weed from Women, making sure that we're not just, making things overseas. Like you said, it's so much harder than you think, but it's worth the reward to know where things are coming from and that you're able to support, more homegrown brands.
And I would say like having a relationship with like an Etain, having your product on the shelves in that capacity is another way for people to see you, which could put you in alignment to get that funding. Saying I have this relationship with Etain, my products are carried here, I think is another way to help women brands be in a position to get that funding that they so need.
And the thing about Etain, I had the pleasure of getting a nice tour from Jess, is that your products will not get lost on those shelves.
Which is key.
Well, I merch them myself. I write them myself. I bring them in myself. That's kind of what you guys were saying about the education of it. Again, having a fashion background, I worked with all these retail brands. I kind of didn't know how it was going to play into this. And as I'm really enjoying writing those prices and putting them on the shelves, I'm like, oh, this all came together in a pretty beautiful way. And I've never had the opportunity to be able to find these brands and work with all these great women. So it's really something special. And, I feel really honored to be here with all of you and to just have that opportunity for Etain and in general.
Yeah. And then like when I was on the tour, I was like, if I had a short list, because I did see a candle and there's also a particular shape in Etain. And I was just like, oh my gosh, 024, like perfect fit. Now that we can get flower, for medical cannabis, I was just like
whole flower.
I was just like, okay, the buddy. So it's like all these things just like really
I know. I already was like, it's black and gold. It's literally me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what other women-owned, like what wasn't turning up, in case there are things that because like I know there's people on this call who probably, I don't know, there's maybe there's things we can help fill in the gaps for that. Like,
but before we do that, I wanted to make sure that I dropped a little bit of knowledge for folks, because I know that Vice clauses were brought up. So there's actually Vice Ventures that you can check out, and actually Christine, formerly of Potley, now works with Vice Ventures, so you can check them out. And in terms of, let's say, cannabis type incubators, there is a deadline of December 31st for Ease's Momentum incubator. So anyone who has an interest should definitely check that out. They give $50,000 to 10 businesses that are already in production. I'm pretty sure they're location agnostic, because they used to be primarily West Coast, but now they're also on the East Coast and doing some stuff in the Midwest. They're a great program. Kiki Keith has been through it. Whitney Beatty has gone through it. tons of people who are in the space have gone through that program. I shouldn't say tons because it's 10 per. This is their second, but you know, it's a really great program because not only do you get that grant, you also have access to EAS's ecosystem, and that's a huge deal. So please check it out. Everyone who is on right now, anyone who is in the audience, wherever it is that you're listening, ease.com/momentum.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. I wanted to start because listen, I realized that normally I'm done by now, but I'm like, this is so good. This is so good. I don't want it to end. You are all wonderful. I do want to start to wind down. I would love to ask everyone what is their Roz, if you have to go, you got to run your business. You know, do you have a second to share your moment of wisdom?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get Roz's moment of wisdom and then we'll round robin it.
No, I mean, listen, I kind of said everything in regards to wisdom. I think, you know, the big thing is that, you know, as we're I'm honored. Thank you, Women Grow, for thinking enough of me. Thank you, Kassia and Cannaclusive, of thinking of me enough to say, we see what you're doing. We believe in your brand. We believe in what you're doing. And I just believe in making sure I pay it forward. And so one thing that we're doing at M4MM is we did create a social cannabis brand lookbook. So if anybody out there, if you want a copy of the lookbook or the link to it, literally it's businesses that are just like you guys, but maybe not as far. But for you, like Jess, I'm in awe. So I definitely want to Etain, like figure out how do we just love on one another and we figure this thing out, my love. But there's other brands out there that don't have like some of these opportunities that we're trying to put eyeballs to them. And if you go to this lookbook, it's so cool because you actually see their story and read their story, and then they tell you exactly what they're looking for. And then you have their direct information to go to their website, to contact them. So it's all about paying it forward, and it feels good when I'm doing good, but I'm able to also affect in a positive way and helping someone else. It really balances me out, and it feels good at this point in my life. So I thank you guys so much for having me. Thank
you, Roz. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, if you have to go, I understand. You got to run your business.
I got to make a phone call by 6 o'clock, so I got a few minutes, but I'm good.
Okay, cool. Gena, what is your word of wisdom to the next generation of cannabis leader? What would you tell them?
Don't stop. You have to keep going, because I can't remember who said it on here about knowing your why. This industry, if you do not know your why, then just stop, because you have to keep going. It's so challenging. I think making sure you have a nice group of a support system, whether that be your friends, families, or an iFund Women or Women Grow, having a support system, and ask for help. I ask for help all of the time. And I'm appreciative that I get the help. And then how do I pay it forward? How do I share about the next brand? How do I bring somebody else in? How can I connect you to somebody? So don't stop, keep going, trust the process, ask for help, and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much. How about you, Eunice?
Oh my gosh, words of wisdom would be listen to Gena. But it's all of the above, right? It's understand your why, so you're in it for the long haul, because this is not a short game industry. And if you're building something out of true passion, you want to be building something that stays, and builds your community. Find your community within this space, support each other, ask for help, pay it forward, all of the above, because that is what has brought me into this space and has provided a really delightful experience, despite what a lot of other experiences I've heard of have been like. I consider myself very fortunate to have found my people, and we are all building together, and that feels so good. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Jess?
I don't know how to follow those, ladies. I mean, I'm second and thirding all of that. And I think too, I'm just going to say, buy weed from women, of course, but also don't be afraid to, ask, where did that come from? Where is that made? Who owns that company? I think coming here has made me have such a deeper understanding, appreciation, and want to be so much more conscious about what brands I'm supporting personally, what brands we're supporting. And I think, some people are just consuming and not paying attention to that. And I feel like we are at kind of that precipice where you have the opportunity to do that and, to be a part of a brand where we can do that. And all of us can do that with all of these shopping small businesses, being involved with people like Women Grow. It takes the time, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Sara.
Oh gosh, feels wild to go last. Number one, listen to what everybody else said because they're all very smart women. Number two, be you. Everybody else is taken. If you're already on the journey, I want you to remember that because your compass inside you is what should always guide you. And the last thing I want to say to any aspiring entrepreneurs or people who have an idea and you're sitting on it, but you haven't done anything about it yet, I want you to think about why you haven't, because there's always a million reasons not to do something. And there's never going to be a right time to do something. It's always going to be scary as shit. You're always going to be full of doubts. There's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a big signal from the universe. Nothing in life is guaranteed. There's no tomorrow that's guaranteed. That's why we like to say, life's short, Budwell, just go for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kassia, let me tell you, I am so thankful that you pulled these ladies together for this showcase because you did the damn thing. And I know that there's so many more that we could have showcased and intend to, like we in Women Grow. We want to continue these showcases all through the years and going forward because it is so important. Because we want to know who these brands are. And look, connections are made and we didn't even try. Like we weren't even trying this, you know what I mean? And Kassia, thank you so much. And I will have you take us out. And what's going on? Like, where are you going in 2022? And what are your words of wisdom to the next generation?
Well, first of all, I've been here crafting and I'm under the missile bud and I'm sending kisses to everyone. That's actually an ornament that I made for a certain someone. I'm not sure if she's watching. I kind of hope she isn't because it's a surprise for her. You all, actually, I think everyone here knows and loves her, but I'm not going to. Her name was mentioned earlier, but I'm not going to bring it up again. Oh my gosh. Thank you all so much for being here because it's the holidays. And even if folks don't celebrate, it's still like a time where you can have these very few days to sort of collect yourself somehow as you go into another 365 days of just chaos. And all chaos is not bad, but I am really inspired by every single person who is here for various reasons. I know how much you give back to your communities, how much you grow communities. You're not just here to sell a product. And that's something that for me is incredibly important because I don't just like people just sell. And I really just want to thank you for the way that you've helped to inspire other people who are in your spaces, especially folks like Sara and Eunice, because typically Asian folks are not seen so much in this space. And I know that not that the rest of us don't have like traditional values that our families come from, because although Tanya and I are Jamaican, there's still a stigma about cannabis in Jamaica and in our community, but especially the Asian community, that like deeply held stigma, although that plant obviously has its roots so far in the East, you know? So definitely want to give you a shout out for being in this space and for being your authentic selves. Like everyone here, like favorite people in cannabis, but I speak to Sara and Eunice the most. So yeah, definitely want to thank you for that. I'm really looking forward to what everyone is bringing into the new year. I'm looking forward to the growth that you will all experience, knocking on wood and claiming that for you. And that is, yeah, basically it on my end.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone here. I know that we will be connecting in the new year. It was my honor to meet those who I haven't met, and those who I have, is great to see you again. I want to wish everyone out there a happy holidays from myself and from Women Grow. be safe out here in these streets, and support small businesses, support women-owned businesses, support diverse brands, and let's have a fantastic new year. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And make sure you go out and support these businesses. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.